Hello, and welcome back to the Podcasting Problem Solver. I'm Leah Bryant, your go-to podcast growth strategist, here to coach you to podcast strategically with more clarity and better results. Have you ever hit record, started talking, and about 3 minutes in, thought, wait, where exactly am I going with this? And if your brain just whispered, okay, wow, definitely called out, you're in good company. Most podcasters think their episodes wander because they need more prep. But here's the thing. It's usually because they skipped the one question that anchors everything. And today, I'm giving you the exact filter I use on every client episode before I touch a single edit, outline, or title. This isn't theoretical. It's the thing that keeps their episodes sharp, strategic, even when the topic is complex. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clarity tool you can use immediately. One question, one filter, an endless cleanup saved. Yes. All right, let's get into it. So inside my seamless podcast framework, the strategy phase is where clarity lives. It's where you make the decision that influences everything downstream. Your recording, your editing, titles, call to actions, your repurposing, literally the whole chain. Strategy doesn't have to be heavy though, okay? Sometimes it's as simple as pausing before you hit record and asking one very specific question. Are you ready? Are you on the edge of your seat? All right, here it is. What do I want my listener to do after this episode? That's the filter. That's it. Episode done. No, I'm kidding. Before you say anything into a mic, before you open your outline, before you go down a story rabbit hole, you answer that question. What do I want them to do? And when I say do, what I mean is action, movement, something they will walk away and actually implement. Because when you anchor your episode in an action, everything else becomes easier. Your structure, your pacing, your examples, your stories, your call to action. It's like wiping fingerprints off a foggy mirror. Suddenly, you can really see what you're trying to say. So let's break this down so you can apply it for your next episode. So if you are a business coach, let's say, and your goal is, I want them to understand pricing psychology, the episode's going to meander. You're going to teach too much, you're going to talk yourself into circles, and then question everything. But if your goal is, I want them to update their pricing by the end of the week, boom, mic drop. Now your brain knows exactly where to take them. Do you see the difference? One is information, one is movement. Your listeners don't need more information. Heavens to Betsy, no. They are already overwhelmed with the information they have access to. They need direction. And this filter forces you to make a choice. And that choice creates clarity, which is like one of my favorite things. So before your next episode, I want you to ask what I tell my coaching clients. What action do you want them to take when the episode ends? Maybe it's shifting a belief they've been holding on to. Maybe it's sending an email, journaling a prompt, DMing you a keyword, or booking a call. Whatever it is, define it first. Your episode's going to get 10 times cleaner the moment that you do this. Let me tell you a quick story from a client session over this past summer. We were working on a marketing episode that originally had 12 different ideas inside of it. I know, 12. My fraud investigator brain was like twitching. She kept asking, why does this feel so chaotic, Leah? I prepped for hours. And that's when I asked her the filter question. What do you want your listener to do after they listen? She paused and said, well, I want them to download my new lead magnet. Great. Now we have a destination. The second she said that, the episode practically rewrote itself. We cut the 8 backstories, we tightened the examples, we swapped out 3 metaphors, and suddenly the episode pointed toward one clear next step. She sent me a message later that week saying that this was the first episode I've recorded that I didn't feel like I was wrestling a bear, which is now my favorite line ever. That's the power of this one question. It's not about being polished, perfect, or claiming you know everything, but it is about being intentional, right? So here's the core takeaway for you today. Clarity comes from choosing the destination before you start the drive. If you sit down and hit record while still thinking, I just want this episode to be, well, good, your brain has no direction. You're giving yourself nothing to aim for. But if you sit down knowing exactly what you want your listener to do when they're done, your episode naturally becomes tighter, cleaner, and more strategic. So your repeatable process becomes this. Ask the filler question. Define the action, then build the episode around leading them to that action. That's really all it takes. When you apply this filter, you know what you're doing? You're doing the strategy phase of my seamless podcast framework perfectly. But here's the fun part. When you get the strategy piece right, automatically boosting your momentum phase too, because your episodes suddenly drive clear actions, better engagement, stronger retention, and easier repurposing. This one filter doesn't just clean up your episodes. Nope. It strengthens your entire podcast. And here's the thing. This one question filter, it's step one, okay? If you want someone to walk you through the whole picture, what's working, what's slipping through the cracks, where the growth is actually blocked, that's exactly what my seamless growth audit is for. I review your entire show through the same strategic lens I use for clients who see that 30 to 60% growth in a matter of weeks. You're going to walk away with clarity, direction, and a plan that feels doable. Because I don't want you to walk away feeling overwhelmed. That doesn't help anybody. You can grab a growth audit now. And trust me, it's wildly good time to get strategic before the new year hits, okay? All right, friend, take this question into your next recording session and watch how much easier everything is going to feel when you ask, what do I want my listener to do after this episode? Use it once and you're going to wonder how you ever recorded without it. And if you found this episode helpful, follow the show and share it with a fellow podcaster who could use a little clarity in their life too. And if you want your 2026 to start with strategy instead of guesswork, now's the time to book that growth audit. Get it on the books, okay? All right, friend, until next time, keep your podcast purposeful. Keep asking that one clarifying question before you record and keep your growth seamless. And I'll see you next time.